do you get the sense that this is make or break season upcoming for Kyler Murray?
Kinda.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan and a supporter, but going back to the decision to stick with Kyler instead of drafting a quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
I understand it, but at a certain point, you have to kind of like validate that decision again with consistency offensively. I think that's for Kyler. Like Kyler's highs were as high as any quarterback in the NFL this year.
Hey, joining us now, impromptu in the best possible way, friend of the program, part of the program this past season, ESPN's NFL analyst, Mina Kimes. Thanks for joining us, Mina. How we living?
Hello. I told you guys I ran into a Cardinals fan who's like, "You never talk good about the Cardinals." I was like, "I talk about the Cardinals all the time this year. I talk so much Cardinals football. I watch so much Cardinals football." So it's really good to see you guys in person.
It's great to see you as well. I don't know what the deal is with that Cardinals fan. Just send in the PHNX Cardinals, and we'll set him straight. He'll know that you're spreading the gospel of Tip Ryman and Trey McBride and the cast of characters. But as we've let things kind of settle from the 2024 season, 8-9, I know they had the missed opportunity there, but what's your assessment?
Yeah, it was very like stop start. It was very streaky. Like the offense in particular was streaky. There were stretches, certainly kind of early middle-ish, where you felt like this is the offense we thought they would be. This is the offense that finished 10th in rushing, or top 10, more than that, in rushing last year. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like that dude. Kyler Murray's playing his best football. But then there was inconsistency from everyone involved. Kyler Murray, play caller, Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think next year for the offense, it's really about like more consistency, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think building on what you saw with Marv, I think we talked about it in the playoff game, or not the playoff game, the end of the season.
Yeah.
So that matters. Defensively, I actually thought really impressive how they finished the season. This was a defense that was always rebuilding, always very young, probably the cheapest defense in the NFL, right? I would guess. So you're definitely stacking good performances, and I think the linear progress you saw at the end of the year is really encouraging. I think that's going to be the focus for this offseason, though, adding to that side of the ball.
Do you think this team, given where they're at, and specifically the NFC West in general, do you think like a trade for Myles Garrett or whomever, do you think that's warranted? You laugh, so you probably don't think it's warranted. I heckled Myles earlier.
He wants to play for like. I don't mean to be diminishing the Cardinals, but he's.
Why do you hate the Cardinals, Mina? Why?
He
like a
blue.
He wants to play for a team that's ready to rip, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like including the teams, frankly, in the Super Bowl right now are
candidates
for our services. So he would obviously be the perfect missing piece. He's the perfect missing piece for literally every team in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
I don't see that one happening though.
No.
You feel like I feel like we're going to wake up and it's going to be a Rams acquisition. You know the Niners are going to be aggressive. Like, how do you see this?
The Niners is one to watch for sure.
Oh, my God,
I can see that.
How do you see this division playing out this offseason?
It's interesting because the Niners are going to have to make a decision in terms of paying Brock Purdy, but I think they just need better health next year, and they'll be right back in it. The Seahawks, there's probably going to be some noise around Geno Smith and whether or not he's available for trade. I wouldn't do it. I've said this if I was the Seahawks. And then the Rams, there's actually questions around Matthew Stafford and his future there. But all that said, I wouldn't be surprised if the teams actually do look pretty similar to how they looked this year and next year. These are not teams that need to have a lot of change or experience a lot of change. And I think, they're a team like the Cardinals has a pretty clear mandate for where they need to get better.
We see a lot of soon-to-be free agents in this game that are going to be on display. Trey Smith would be a good fit. You got Josh Sweat, who I think people just do a little easy connecting the dots. He played for Jonathan Gannon, but you get the feel like he's going to be expensive. Is it worth an investment for the Cardinals to go after somebody like Josh Sweat?
You guys have a lot of cap space, right? I'm sure.
Like
enough to do some damage.
I don't know if edge is where I would go in free agency. It's a great corner group. I don't know if you looked at the free agent corners. There's some other positions that I think they could add to. I like the idea of getting young at edge. I haven't delved into the draft class, but I'm told it's a pretty stacked and impressive class there. That would probably be my preference and then maybe target someone more like in the mid range at pass rush.
Like we're walking around and Malik Neighbors is here and Roma Dunze's here and Brian Thomas Jr. had an unbelievable season. And like we feel like this should be Marv's time. Marv should be here. And after all the fanfare of last offseason, he didn't participate in the combine. I'm getting ready for the year. Now that you've had about 12 months to evaluate the whole situation, meaning like where are you at with MHJ right now?
Still a believer. I mean, going back to that final game, I was just like, God, this is the guy that I thought he would be. The completeness of the route tree, the ability to win quickly at the line of scrimmage, contested catchability. And I keep going back to that word consistency when I talk about the offense, but I do think, for everything I've heard about Marvin Harrison Jr., pardon me, is unbelievably hard worker, real competitor. I think he's going to attack this offseason really aggressively, and I think next year you're going to see the result.
Do you get the sense that this is make or break season upcoming for Kyler Murray?
Kinda.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan and a supporter, but going back to the decision to stick with Kyler instead of drafting a quarterback, I understand it, but at a certain point, you have to kind of like validate that decision again with consistency offensively. I think that's for Kyler. Like Kyler's highs were as high as any quarterback in the NFL this year, but it's a matter of like, okay, can can 75% of the games look like this instead of maybe 50? And I think that's where he's got to get to.
Do you think Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon deserve their chance to draft their own guy if it comes to that? Or do you feel like, given the state of the NFL, they may not have time to do that if it doesn't work out?
I do. I think Ossenfort's been a good GM. Obviously came in with that. This is a rebuilding situation. I thought, the team is actually better. They're still in some ways ahead of the timeline that I thought was in place a couple of years ago based on how bad they were. So I do think so. Gannon, I think a lot is going to come down to how this season plays out and whether or not they make the right choices in terms of the talent that they surround them with.
I was in the East Valley recently and just went by Mesquite High School. I was like,
go Wildcats.
It's the home of Mina Kimes and Roy Lopez. There it is, right in front of me. But when you came into town real quick, like for the playoff game, was there any go-to spots for you in AZ?
Oh, my gosh. So I haven't been back to Gilbert in years. And I think I told you guys this. Everybody was like, Gilbert's popping now.
Yep.
What, Gilbert?
I bought a house in Gilbert 6 months ago. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up there, it was like Joe's Real Barbecue.
That was it.
Not much of the strip.
Filiberto's. My references are all like Filiberto's over and over. And now I hear there's like a cool restaurant scene that's incredible.
Downtown Gilbert's pretty awesome.
That's what people
baby.
say. That's crazy. Y'all, that's so crazy. Like when I went to high school there, it was not like that. Let me tell you. We used to go to Chandler Fashion Square or what was it called? Mill.
Yeah.
Arizona Mill. Arizona Mill.
Yeah.
So go to Arizona. People don't understand. Like you guys know, for Arizona, like so much of being in high school is just kind of like hanging out around like movie theater complexes and like going to Starbucks and like sitting outside
just to be seen, right?
Our AZ boy producer.
You know about that life. Yeah. It's just a very specific social scene when you're in high school.
I don't love doing predictions, but this offseason, like, is there a move that you think like is warranted, that could shock the NFL landscape? Like you talked about Geno Smith. Like, are they gonna shop Geno Smith?
I wouldn't, but they might. I think Stafford's a name to watch. I really do. I think we would all, NFC West fans would be happy with that, which is kind of like, why would the Rams do it?
Right.
It's competitive. They just won the division, but it's just something to keep an eye on. That's one.
What about one of the Seattle wide receivers? Like
DK Metcalf is being brought up a lot. Again, I wouldn't do it. I don't understand.
You don't agree with any of these moves that could happen.
I know. I just don't. I just wouldn't do it. Yeah. But I always put myself in the other. Are you guys happy or sad if the Seahawks move on from Geno Smith?
I'd be
sad.
They swept the Cardinals last year.
I know, but that was because Leonard Williams was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
They haven't beaten Geno Smith yet since he's been the quarterback. I don't know. Did the GM have an interview on radio and he was basically like, I guess he's our quarterback next year or whatever?
The coach was yeah, he was a little bit like equivocal, like he wasn't super strong about it.
I do feel like if Seattle pivoted off of him and got lucky with a guy that they felt like was an upgrade.
But what are the chances we're going to like
not this offseason?
That's my thing. Like why? Who into this draft? No.
Little Jackson Dart, Jalen Milrose walking around here. Somebody asked
Jalen
Jalen Milrose to change the position.
All these NFC West teams are probably just going to run it back because none of them are going to get better at quarterback.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the Niners and their kind of redemption story next year. They got the 11th overall pick. I know they got to figure out Brock in his future, but they're just kind of concerning.
Doesn't it feel like the Cardinals screwed up this year and didn't take advantage of a division that was down? Like it was there.
Yeah.
It was there to be won. They were there to be the team, a
Right.
Commanders
They had
esque time
control
of
of
year.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, Mina, because you know this division better than anybody. Like these opportunities don't come up very often when you're in a division with Kyle Shanahan and
Especially
Sean
with
McVay.
Kyle Shanahan and that team. Yeah, I know. I think I felt the same way about the Seahawks. But yeah, the Cardinals had they were in pole position at one point, and that has to be very disappointing.
They blew it.
They blew it.
That's the theme of our show. They blew it with
it.
the PHNX Cardinals. Quickly, who do you like on Sunday?
I got the Chiefs by the slimmest of margins. For me, it's Steve Spagnuolo. I don't love the matchup between the coordinator and the quarterback in Philadelphia. And then I think the Chiefs offense has really figured out. They've just become this like efficient, very unpleasant thing to face. So yeah, I got the Chiefs, but the Eagles are probably more talented. So it's what's crazy.
I think Eagles fans they've already got their scapegoat pointed out. It's going to be Kellen Moore. He was too focused on his next job.
Yeah, I seen a little
just
bit
like
of that.
Gannon,
Yeah.
you know, they're ready for
Just
it.
good people, man. Good people in Philadelphia. Good fans. We'd love to get Big Dom on the show later this week, too.
Has he been walking around?
No, we only saw him opening night. But Mina, thank you so much for taking some time to meet up with us in person for the first time. And once again, thank you for all your insight this season.
It was super fun. It gave me like an added reason to watch the Cardinals more closely, which I enjoyed because it was a really interesting team. How do you guys like, by the way, that the line coach who went to
Justin Bryant? Oh, yeah. Clayton Adams?
Yeah, how is he good?
Yeah, it was a loss.
He was their best position coach, and that stung. I made a point. Bo didn't agree with me. Like, is it fair to lose a coach if you had a losing record? That doesn't seem fair.
You get a comp pick.
That's right.
All right.
Cardinals can't even get a comp pick when they're having a losing record.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Mina.
Mina Kimes, great stuff.
The
Mina
best.
Kimes featuring Lenny